Most people spend their lives trying to be someone. He gave everything away to be no one. Julian Sterling was an architectural titan of New York's steel and glass towers, a name synonymous with power and prestige. When he finally walked away from the table where billion-dollar deals were signed, all he carried was a single key in his pocket and a heavy burden in his soul. The world assumed he had gone bankrupt or lost his mind. Yet, he had sacrificed his entire fortune just to listen to the sound of the wind in an anonymous coastal town. Now, I will tell you why this man, who fled the noise of applause to find refuge in the music of silence, chose to be nobody. When you hear his story, I am certain you, too, would want to abandon the stranger in the mirror. Julian Sterling sat in one of the most prestigious offices in Manhattan. From his window, the entire city lay at his feet. His name graced the covers of the world's leading financial magazines. People waited months for a minute of his time. He was the definition of the ideal man in the modern world. Powerful, wealthy, and most importantly, he was someone. But the man Julian saw in the mirror every morning was becoming a stranger. His suits felt like armor, his meetings like endless wars. One night, sitting alone at his massive desk, he realized that everything he owned actually owned him. The noise of the city was, in fact, the scream of the silence within him. One evening, he walked out without even taking his briefcase, handed his car keys to the valet, and said, "This is yours now." He vanished into the grey crowd of New York like a shadow. Weeks later, Julian appeared in a tiny fishing village in Maine. He wore a simple sweater faded by sea salt. To the locals, he was just Julian, the man who repaired nets at the pier and tended to a small, nameless garden. He erased his titles and bank accounts from his mind. As he dirtied his hands with the earth, the chains of the old Julian began to break. The soil did not lie to him. The flowers did not bloom because of his title. Nature accepted him simply as a living soul. One morning, he saw his own photo in a newspaper with the headline, "What happened to missing billionaire Julian Sterling?" He folded the paper and threw it into his fireplace. That man was gone. On that day, he had officially succeeded in becoming nobody. This new life was not an escape. It was a discovery. The man who couldn't sleep without pills in New York now fell into a deep slumber to the lullaby of the waves. He once met a former business partner who asked, "Why this misery, Julian?" Julian smiled at the sunset and replied, "I used to think I ruled the world, yet I couldn't even rule a minute of my own peace. Now I have nothing, but I finally own myself." Julian's story is not about getting lost. It is about being found. He traded his name for immortality and his titles for freedom. In the end, we are all shadows passing through this world. Julian was among the few who found peace within that shadow. What about you? Is the person you see in the mirror there because the world told you to be someone, or because you truly are? If you stripped away your titles and applause tomorrow, what would be left of you? Remember, sometimes to have everything, you must first give everything away.